What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your favorite New York Jets subscription podcast, Badlands. I'm your host, Joe Caporoso, joined as always by Connor Rogers. We're running the reverse order again. Podcast dropping late Tuesday night, War Room coming tomorrow morning. So if you're not upgraded to War Room yet and you want an additional episode with video content, upgrade now. It's the season. There's a ton of extra content, including the season preview guide, which is dropping soon. And it's a reminder to myself right now, we have to start working on it. Connor, how you doing? How you feeling? Big day of news in the greater Badlands community ecosystem.
Big day of news. Really excited for our latest acquisition. If you've missed the news, Zach Rosenblatt, who does a really good job covering the team, will now be podcasting under the Badlands umbrella. So you literally won't miss it if you're on the feed. So that's going to be awesome. It definitely brings a different show to our feed, boots on the ground, just a news and information, and there's so much different stuff it brings, to Badlands. So I think it's going to be really awesome, quite frankly. Like Joe and I always, it's like almost become a running joke over the last 10 years. We're not beat writers.
Never been beat writers.
It brings, different kind of content to people, but I think beat writers fill a part of content that's really important, being there every day. And when something happens, going right up to the coach and asking that question. So we're really excited to have Zach and his crew a part of, our Badlands network now. So I'm super excited to see where it goes, because it feels like if you're a Jets fan and you're subscribed to Badlands, you have a new piece of Jets related content in one format or the other almost every single day throughout the season.
Yes, my OCD is taken over, and we needed to have something every single day. And this has been the last.
It's something we didn't have.
Yeah. It's something we didn't have. The last really needed piece in the puzzle, because I think, as Connor said, the rest of the shows in the feed, like, we're all Jet fans. We are not reporters. We are not members of national NFL media. We are Jet fans. Connor and I are in the media by proxy for other work we do, but we're not covering the Jets through that angle. So to have someone from The Athletic, and Zach, who does a good job and who's there every day, and to fill that Thursday slot for us during the season is really exciting. So it's going to slot right in. If you're subscribed, you could get that show in front of the paywall, as long as you sign
Flight
up for
Plan,
Patreon.
of course.
I
went long enough without saying the name of the show, which shame on me.
And shout out to our guy Matt G on the design too. We got the whole family involved. Other guys Monday, War Room and Pod Tuesday, Wednesday, Flight Plan Thursday, Buck the Trend Friday, TOJ Talk Saturday, and plenty of other stuff sprinkled in, as you're starting to see. It's good. It's good times, and we're excited to continue to grow and appreciate everyone's support as we also passed 3,000 patrons today, which is an important milestone that we've been striving towards for a while. So here's to the next 3,000. We got a lot of work to do still, a lot of content on the way, and a lot to talk about tonight. So we're going to do a question that we got that I think is going to frame this pod. And then we're going to wrap with some more news and notes. And then on War Room, we'll talk a little more Final 53 man and a little Reddick stuff, which is not resolved yet, which sucks.
I'm laughing at the Discord, by the way.
Yes. Zach is in the Discord now. Welcome to the Thunderdome.
God bless him. So to put it in perspective, I have not moved into my house yet, but I do something different at it every day. And today I woke up really early, and I went to NBC, did the show, our fantasy football happy hour show, which if you're getting ready for fantasy football, I don't know what else to tell you. You don't want to miss fantasy football happy hour. So did that show, grabbed lunch, got home, the whole nonsense, dog stuff. My wife's been packing, and then did Mets pod, hosted our fantasy football Roto World mock draft, then went to the house, did a ton of yard work, and then came here and literally had a slice of pizza and logged on to talk to you. So now I'm looking at the Discord before we're logging on. I'm just laughing that I missed Zach in the Discord, and everybody's going nuts. It's chaos in there, and all good chaos, by the way. So I just want to explain why I'm literally laughing, because this is how I conclude my day, catching up on everything I missed in this Discord today, which is, it's eventful. It's the best way to kind of recap. If you don't stick with it throughout the day, just concluding your day with it is a hilarious thing to witness.
A beautiful perk of the War Room tier, having a group chat with 800.
That's right. It's what it is.
Jet fans.
It's what it is.
It's basically what it is. And it's a great way to get a summary of the day. I use it for that all the time. I used to use Twitter for that. I use Discord for it now. It's a much better concise summary of everything you need to know. Yeah, exactly. You could kind of just cut directly like what happened today. And we actually got the framing for this episode from a Discord question from Jay Targ. Good question. How would we rank the 10 most valuable Jets as it stands right now going into the regular season? Now, most valuable, not necessarily the best players like we've done on our roster rankings, but I look at this as if you remove this player, the Jets' expected win total drops the highest amount of games going into the upcoming season. So I'm trying to think of like example, like if it was a position where they had a really good backup and it's like, if we lose the starter for 4 weeks, like we'll probably be okay. That hurts the overall value. Now, I think it was interesting to see on Twitter and in the Discord how many different ways people took this, because there's not a perfect answer. I do think there's a perfect answer for number one, which we'll both agree on, which is the quarterback. It's Aaron Rodgers. He's the most valuable player on the team. If he gets hurt, the Jets go from a projected 11-win team to like a projected 8 or 9-win team, even if you like Tyrod Taylor, because Tyrod Taylor, we like him. He's old and he gets hurt a lot, and realistically, he wouldn't be able to start a 17-game season or like 10 games. Could he start 3 games? Yeah. More than that, you get a little worried. I don't know any world you can't make Rodgers number one. Quarterback's
we witnessed it. We lived it.
We lived it. Most important position in sports. We are not talking about the Jets the way we are if Rodgers is not their quarterback. Where it gets interesting and really debatable, and how you feel about schemes and different sides of the ball and where football is number 2, even starting at number 2 and number 3. Now, my initial reaction, I think a couple people would be in consideration. I think you would look at Sauce and Quinnen on defense, because what Quinnen does, both of what they do is so unique to them. I'm also like a little less bullish on what's around Sauce than I've been in recent years. Kind of the same with Quinnen. And then offensively, I would never want to put a running back this high usually, but Breece is such a unique beast where
offensive weapon, right?
Yeah, I like Braylon Allen a lot, and I just think Breece, it's not going to be the 1,400 rushing yards. It's going to be the extra 500-600 receiving yards and all the home runs that he hit. So I'm going to put Breece at 2, which most people are going to disagree with because of his positional value.
Okay,
I am saying this because I think offense is more important than defense in today's NFL, and that Breece can overcome the coaching deficiencies on offense. Defensively, I trust the defensive staff to figure it out if Sauce or Quinnen miss some time. We saw it last year against the Eagles. They had no cornerbacks, and they beat the Eagles, who were 6-0 at the time.
Right.
That's why I skew to offense. So I would probably put Breece 2. I don't want to get too much further before I put Garrett, and I'm going to start talking about the offensive lineman, but I'll go Breece 2, Sauce 3, Quinnen 4, Garrett 5. How would you round out your top 5?
It's interesting. We have the same thought process, but a little different. Rodgers has to be 1. I mean, we don't even really need to spend a lot of time on it. There's a reason he's here, because he was the final piece and the most important piece and all of that. I would make Garrett number 2. Wow. Because I think where we differ is I agree with how you feel about Breece. I think they are more equipped for an injury. I'll frame it to you like this, Joe. Would you rather need Lazard to get you through a game at wide receiver or Braylon Allen to get you through a game at running back?
It's a fair way to frame it.
That's the problem. Like now, I guess some people could say, well, you could throw to Mike Williams and Breece more and Conklin more if Garrett misses a game. But I think I'm fully buying into the Agent Zero fever from this summer and spring. Allen's looked amazing. He looks like, they're bootleg version of Derrick Henry. I'm not saying he's Derrick Henry. I called him the bootleg version, but just this big running back that when he gets full strides going, he just plows over DBs. He can catch the ball a little bit. So I would make Garrett number 2 because I just think he's so special to the offense in a league where you have to throw. Number 3 for me would be Quinnen, because if Quinnen's hurt, I think you could run on the Jets at will. If Sauce is hurt, maybe you can throw on them at will, but they could still rush the hell out of the passer. And like you said, we saw them without their corners before. I think Quinnen is a total force in terms of how coaches view him versus fans. game planning around Quinnen is very, very difficult. I think the Jets cannot afford to lose Quinnen Williams, especially with their current interior situation. So I'd go Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, Quinnen, Sauce number 4, because he's just a special player. And I think you could start to have him travel with number 1s this year. And I think we'll see that a little bit.
Yep.
It's just logic, right? Eventually, it's just he's your best. If he's one of your best players, we'll use him against the other team's best player. That's very basic football logic. 5, we have the same players. I think 5.
Same top 5, different.
Same order. Top 5. I'd have Breece. I think Breece is so special. There's no I know I brought up earlier, hey, if Breece gets hurt, Braylon Allen, but what Breece does at the position, I think 4 guys in the league do what Breece does at the position. I think one of them is very unproven, but I'm just a believer in him from my college eval. I'd say McCaffrey, Breece, Jonathan Taylor, and I think Bijan Robinson is going to get there this year.
Yep.
I don't put a single other running back in the category with them. And you could make the argument like Bijan doesn't deserve to be in that category yet, but Gibbs isn't there. Derrick Henry's a different kind of running back. Pacheco's good, but that's the difference with Breece. Like there are he's one of 3 or one of 4 in the entire league at what he does.
Yeah, I really hope we see more of that home run threat this year, and I think we will. And again, obviously excited to see him in the passing game. So same top 5, different order. We look at the bottom 5 now where I think it gets a little more interesting. Now, we haven't hit any offensive linemen yet. I think part of the hesitancy there is that if Tyron Smith or Morgan Moses miss some games, you have Fashanu, and you're like, he's looked really good and will probably be okay. And in most teams, he could start 17 games this year and you'd be excited about it. I don't want to sleep still on Tyron Smith's value. I think makes AVT a little more interesting because the drop off there, if he gets hurt, gets a little more severe. And then you really have to start playing Tetris again. So right. Tyron Smith is obviously better and more proven than AVT. I would say even maybe Morgan Moses is more proven as a pro than AVT. But AVT's value, I think, means he has to be in the top 10. I think Reddick, no one wants to talk about it, we'll talk about at the end of the pod, has to be in the top 10 because he's their best pure pass rusher, and sacking the quarterback is incredibly important. The second he's on the team, he is projected to lead the team in sacks by a decent margin, I think. And we like Jermaine Johnson plenty. I think CJ Mosley has to be in there just because of the way he's the quarterback of the defense. And you just can't, from an intangible perspective, replace what he does. I would actually probably put, and Quincy has to be in there too. So it gets hard. I would say
it's not easy.
I lean towards putting AVT at 6 because of the domino effect on the offensive line if he's out. I don't want to go much further without Mosley and Quincy Williams because they're so special. I think I might just bundle them at 7 and 8, and you could kind of go in either order. I think Reddick is probably 9. And then it's, do you put Tyron Smith? Do you put you can't put DJ Reed or Michael Carter. Do you put Jermaine? No. I think it's probably Jermaine or Tyron Smith. And I think you have to put Tyron Smith because if he's good and right, I mean, he's a Hall of Famer and he's one of the best tackles in football. So I think I'll settle with going AVT at 6, Mosley at 7, Quincy at 8, Reddick at 9, and Tyron Smith at 10 with Jermaine just right behind him and Morgan Moses right behind him is how I would generally round it out.
Yeah, this one, it's tricky, right? Because